For joining me for my review of Solo, a Star Wars story. Figured I'd give you guys a regular guy's perspective on this, just a little background. Me and my son are both big Star Wars fans. We don't necessarily agree with all the creative choices that they make occasionally. We think that the original trilogy is like the Bible, it's perfect, don't touch it. The prequels, they could use a little bit of adjusting here and there, but I wouldn't go full reboot. It has some great actors and some great characters in there, but I wouldn't mind if Disney came out with a special edition and tried to brush a few things under the rug, maybe retool a few visual effects, something like that. We got a pretty big problem with some of Rian Johnson's choices on The Last Jedi. We won't get into all that right now, but Luke was extremely out of character from our point of view. But Solo, a Star Wars story, is the topic for today, and we feel like they did a really good job with the movie. I would change the title, this Star Wars story stuff. I'm not a big fan of, like Rogue One, just Rogue One. Solo, just do Solo, that's fine. You don't need the Star Wars story, we get it. You can put Star Wars logo in there somewhere, but it shouldn't be a part of the title Star Wars story, just whatever. But the movie itself, there's a lot of people beating up on this movie. There's no reason for it. The guy they picked, maybe he doesn't look like Harrison Ford's twin brother, but he catches most of the character of Han Solo, the important stuff, not necessarily the body size and type, but you know, they brush his hair, he looks like Han Solo. He acts like Han Solo. When he's not on screen, there's even a couple of times where he really does sound like Han Solo. So that was the most important thing. I think that pretty much the success of the movie hinged on that, and they pulled that off. Chewbacca, of course, was good. They actually gave him a lot of time on the movie. Getting to see the whole relationship of him and Han Solo, I think, was one of the key successes of the movie too. So if you like Han Solo, you like Chewbacca, you like the Millennium Falcon, you like the dynamic between the three of them, which, you know, you got to include all three, then they pulled the movie off. And if you are a big Star Wars fan, then you need to get your ass in the theater and watch the movie. It's like any other Star Wars movie. Even though we have issues with Last Jedi, I would not have skipped seeing the movie in the theater. You got to be there in the theater to get the full effect of a Star Wars film, at least for that first viewing. The other actors in the movie were great too. I thought Woody Harrelson, as an actor, his characters usually fit in real well with something like a scoundrel like Han Solo. So that was a good choice. The other actors all did a really good job. One thing that really impressed me about this movie is that you like Mos Eisley's, you like seeing all the weird random aliens and stuff. This movie is packed with a whole bunch of aliens and weird robots and technology and stuff. It fits into that kind of grimy, worn down feel of most of the places where you're going to think Han Solo's going to hang out. It works perfectly. So the visual effects are all great. There was some parts in the story where maybe it felt like it was dragging out a little bit. The movie is a little bit long. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes, I believe. They might have been able to trim it down a little bit. I don't know exactly where. But yeah, it's a great movie. If you like Star Wars, go out and see it. What can I say that's negative about it? Other than the title. The bad guy is fairly forgettable, and it's not the fault of the actor. It's just he's not a classic Star Wars villain. I'll just say that. But as far as the motivation behind the story and everything fits together real well. Lando works pretty good. There's a few times that he really does feel like Lando Calrissian, but then there's other times where he just, you know, he's passable. Personally, I like the actor that they used, but he would not have been my first choice for Lando Calrissian. I can't tell you who I would have picked, but he's no Billy D. Williams. And I thought Lando was, if you're going to put him in the movie, I thought you should really go out of your way to do him justice. And, you know, I just said that the other guy doesn't look necessarily like Han Solo, but with his mannerisms and everything, he pretty much catches that character. I don't feel like the guy that they got playing Lando did quite as good of a job, but he did good enough where I didn't walk away from complaining about it. There's a whole lot of detail you can tell that they went full scale with the, their team of artists and the creative guys with the stormtroopers, the aliens, the spaceships, air speeders, land speeders, all the weapons, everything. 100% perfect. That's what you want from a Star Wars movie. All kinds of new toys and action figures that you can sell from this movie, assuming that everybody really, really likes it. Okay, so that's enough of the generic talk. Now we're going to go into spoilers. But there is some really cool, surprising stuff. I forgot to say that earlier. But okay, now we go into spoilers. The way that Han Solo got his name, it's workable. It's not quite as... I mean, if you're going to make that a feature of the movie, I think it could have been a little bit better, but it works. Han Solo meeting Chewie for the first time was pretty cool. I kind of like the way that they went about that with Chewbacca being the monster down in the pit, almost like the Rancor or something. I kind of saw it coming when they said they were going to throw him to the beast or whatever. I kind of knew somehow. I just knew that was going to be Chewbacca down there. But if you didn't know, it might have been a really cool surprise for you. The Kessel Run, it had a lot of good special effects, but something about it was missing. It felt like it should have been a little bigger and grander in scope. I mean, the special effects are good. The environment was really cool. They show that scene of the Star Destroyer coming after him in the trailer, and that's very visually striking. And the creature that they come across in there, it's kind of big, kind of Cthulhu-like, but it was pretty cool the way that they used it. The way that Han Solo won the Millennium Falcon, it was kind of cool that they broke that up actually into two scenes. First, you got the scene where he loses, when anybody that's really a big Star Wars fan knows that Han Solo won the Millennium Falcon from Lando in a game of cards. So you get to see that, which is really cool, because when you hear that Lando's going to be in the movie, then you really hope that you get that scene, and you do get that. But at first it's a little disappointing because you're like, oh, he didn't win because Lando cheated, dirty bastard. But then at the end you do see that he won, and not only did he win, but he also, I don't know if he suspected Lando was cheating in the beginning or if he just kind of caught him right before they went for that second round, but he prevented him from cheating, which is kind of gratifying. And then he wins the Millennium Falcon, which was a really cool scene. Okay, and then as far as spoilers go, last but not least, Darth Maul showing up at the end. When you first get that hologram and you get the deep voice, at first I was thinking maybe it was the Emperor, but it turns out it's Darth Maul. And at first my brain didn't even process kind of with the time frame that they were in. I was thinking this is, Darth Maul is an apprentice to Sidious, and that this was taking place right before episode 1. No, this is way after episode 1. So if you think about the timeline that this is taking place, this would be maybe a couple of years before Luke Skywalker gets brought into the picture in Star Wars A New Hope. So this is well after all the events of in the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. And then this is also after the Clone Wars series of cartoons, which that's all canon. Star Wars Rebels cartoon series, that's all canon. So all that stuff that happened in those movies basically and those TV shows basically takes you into Darth Maul at this point, where he's running a criminal organization. He's not a Sith Lord anymore. He's not working for the Emperor, and I don't know. I'm not real big on all the details of the cartoons, but I'm assuming that the Emperor probably doesn't even know he's still alive. Or if he does, he's ignoring him. He's kind of an outcast. And it really does make you want to see what happens next, whether it's going to be another Han Solo story or if they're going to get into something else. But it'd be really cool to be able to see more of Darth Maul, maybe when they go into a movie about Obi-Wan or some of the bounty hunters. That would be very cool for them to flesh that whole thing out, because like everybody else, I was real disappointed when they went and killed Darth Maul, one of the greatest villains that they ever had visually. So now we get to see that there is a little more Darth Maul out there to see in the live action movies. Okay, so my son's score on the movie, he says right now, in his enthusiasm after just seeing the movie this afternoon, a 9 out of 10, which is a very high score. I reserve that for excellent movies that aren't quite perfect. Like Empire Strikes Back, that's a 10. I would give Return of the Jedi probably a 9.5 or 9, something like that. Han Solo, like I said, if you're a Star Wars fan, you can't miss it. Get yourself into the theater and watch it. It's a good movie. It's a good Star Wars movie, but I would probably only give it probably. I don't want to get too enthusiastic like my son's doing right now. Probably give it an 8. Maybe as low as a 7.5. It's definitely no lower than that. And we're going back to Last Jedi again, which we have big problems with around here. I have to say I like this movie a lot more than The Last Jedi. Hands down. Don't fight with me about it in the comments. It's my personal opinion. Everybody's got their personal opinion. I think this movie is much better than The Last Jedi turned out to be. So, if you want to boycott a movie, don't rent The Last Jedi, don't buy it digitally, don't buy it on Blu-ray, but get out there and see this movie because, Ron Howard, really good director. I knew from some of his earlier movies that this was going to be a good movie because he handles kind of that quick-paced action, drama, light-hearted comedy kind of stuff. He does well with that, so I thought that this was going to be a real good fit for him doing a Han Solo movie, and it was. So that's about all I have to say right now on Solo, a Star Wars story. Get out there and see it if you haven't already seen it. And that's it for me for now. Thanks.